Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Mexi here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario Party Jamboree. Specifically, we're going into the Party Planet track for the Nintendo Switch / Nintendo Switch 2 with new content, which then again, that'll be a topic for a later time. So, yesterday, we did somehow manage able to get started experiencing Party Planet track by going into the first board in the mode, which appears to be Goomba Lagoon, despite the fact that back in the Mario Party mode, it is still my least favorite board, but thankfully though, in Party Planet track, it is very self-explanatory, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, so far so good anyway, without making any sort of mistakes here and there. Likely, for instance, that was about the fact that we didn't lose a minigame so far in this mode, so chances are that was about the fact that in addition to that, we also did manage able to claim all 60 of those mini-stars in Goomba Lagoon, and to top of all that stuff though, we did somehow technically already deal with the first boss in the mode, or specifically the entire game, well, assuming of course, since this is our Let's Play after all, that we somehow taken down the second boss battle minigame, which appears to be none other than Dragon Eel. So oh no, pretty self-explanatory boss fight, so yeah, you can get the gist of it. So because of that, and we somehow basically fully 100% everything in terms of Goomba Lagoon. So today, for this video, is that we are about to be going into the next board in Party Planet track, and this time we're going into Mega Wigger's Tree Party. So because of that, I'm pretty sure for the most part is that this board is also self-explanatory as well, but here's the catch though, is about the fact that when it comes to like other side quests that we're about to be going into, I think something tells me though is about the fact that we need to able to try to find a certain number of these specific objects during the forms within some of those side quests later on. So because of that though, yeah, because as you can tell, for the most part, we somehow managed to become flawless victory in terms of free throw. So yeah, not too shabby for the most part. So, for the most part though, there's nothing else I can really say about this, I guess. Well, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, it's about the fact that there is now a method for you that not only you can able to actually access to, a world map, so you can able to actually go into the previous board or the next board after this. So, you see what I mean, if we somehow managed able to conclude the rest of the forms of every aspect in terms of the forms of Mega Wigger's Tree Party board in Party Planet track. So for the most part though, it's about the fact that we can able to actually try to come across into, well, some objectives, such as for instance though, is about the fact I'm pretty sure with that particular letter as we somehow picked up from earlier, I'm pretty sure in order to actually get ourselves the, one of those mini-stars is that we need to hop onto a Wiggler, not only once, but twice, I'm pretty sure. But in a, some sort of a technique that we could probably try to deal with for the sake of time. But, for the most part though, as you can see, we are going back into, Coin Curl minigame right there. But this time around though, hopefully though, we can now able to win, easily win this. Because obviously though, like I said before, since in yesterday, the majority of the computer players in this mode are pretty easy for the most part. Especially considering about the fact that despite my teammates, Bowser Jr. and stuff like that, sometimes though about the fact that the, teammates can sometimes screw up sometimes, at least in some of these team-based minigames, but for the most part, since I pretty much know exactly what to expect, so yeah. So yeah, a few things I want to talk about this is though, and that's what appears to be for the fact that, well, today's date of course there is the 19th of August today, in some cases in 2025 today, and as a matter of fact, until tomorrow, after this video releases, is that Gamescom 2025 is about to start. So because of that though, cannot wait to see some more gameplay footage of not only Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and in addition to Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, specifically on the Switch 2 version, and for the most part though, any other surprises here and there. So because of that though, and alongside with that though, is about the fact that, well, not long now until we're about to be almost approaching into, well, the 9th month of 2025. So anyway, oh yeah, here's a new minigame we can finally get a chance to play, and that's what appears to be Price Line. So as a result, you simply press the A button, and that's all you have to really do for this minigame. So and as you can tell, I somehow got myself my glorious golden pipe item. So, yeah, pretty swell, especially considering about the fact that, well, like I said before, that I will try to get one of those achievements on my spare own time, which appears to be seeing all these, fortune-telling results, depending on what item you get, at least specifically in the item minigames variety, at least that's what I know anyway, so, oh, that's actually pretty good with the actual star rating right there. So, anyway, so at the very least, we did somehow manage to come across into price line at the very least. So I'm pretty sure that we've only got about 2 item minigames left. So, yeah, not long now until we basically accomplished every single minigames that we have seen throughout the majority of this Let's Play so far. So, anyway, now let's go back into Arch Rivals, except now, I'm now the Archer. So this means I don't have to utilize motion controls or anything else like that. So I can just simply just press the button, and that's what I have to do. And again, I have to make my way to 100 points, because otherwise, if I don't, then I have to try again. So because of that though, because yeah, for the most part though, it's about the fact that, like I said as before, that when it comes to getting those mini-stars, depending on what minigame type you go into, for the most part though, in 4-player minigames, you get first place, you get like, 3 mini-stars, and if you're in second place, you get 2 mini-stars, and if you're in third place, then obviously you get 1. And if you do manage to win not only 1 versus 3 minigames, but in addition to 2 versus 2 minigames, and of course the dual minigames, you're able to actually get 2 mini-stars. But if you do manage to able to experience the item minigame for the first time, then you would able to actually get the 1 mini-star. And finally, most notably though, is that I'm pretty sure if you manage to go into the showdown mini-games, if you do win, then obviously though you get 3 mini-stars. But if you lost, then you have to try again, basically. So because of that though, that's something worth noting for the sake of the forms of how, you know, winning conditions worked. So anyways, let's go back on to Stone Eye Bowling. But now we are about to be faced up against with Bodo. So anyway, so there are other explanations I would like to point out as well, and that's what appears to be for the fact that I'm pretty sure that we've only just got about, I would say 9 days left now, until Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, plus Star-Crossed World is going to be getting closer to its release. So, yeah, man, time flies, you know? Especially considering about the fact that after that particular version of the gameplay comes out, well, obviously though, it's about the fact that there's nothing we can able to actually get hyped for at this point in time. Assuming, of course, there might be some potential hints about the forms of that particular, well, thanks to the forms of Sakurai, that hopefully he will able to actually bring up the first gameplay footage of Kirby Air Riders at some point. So as a result, though, it's about the fact that because still, I honestly still like Kirby series, of course. So because of that, though, because I'm super excited about the forms of not only, you know, going back onto Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but this time on the Nintendo Switch 2 system, and on top of that, with the new installment of Kirby Air Rider. So, yeah, that's as far as I can try to able to think about this for the sake of time. So, anyway, so we somehow meet up with Monty Mole right here, and it may look like he's now going to be joining the team for later. So, but then again though, it's about the fact that we do need to reach for about 30 mini-stars until something is about to happen. So anyways, let's get back into the coolest minigame in terms of the showdown minigames variety, and that's of course Yoshi's Mountain Race. So now, for the most part though, it's about the fact that I was originally trying to able to actually select Yoshi throughout the majority of the forms of Party Planet Trek mode, but I might have to wait on that for a long while, or to be more specifically, it's already too late for now, because technically though, it is still possible that you can able to actually select Yoshi if you do manage to able to experience Yoshi's Mountain Race, because actually as it turns out, that similar to the forms of how it does it on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, that it is still possible you can able to actually ride on a multicolored Yoshi as the green playable Yoshi for the sake of the forms of the playable character's consistency or something like that. I mean, mind you though, it has been a couple of hours since I actually have last played this game for sure, mainly because at this point in time it's about the fact that I'm still basically excited to see of what's to come for the sake of the forms of Gamescom 2025 to see what's in store for us. So But anyway, and there's also reassuring about this too, is about the fact that, for the most part though, there are some good and also some bad news at the same time. So, for instance though, is about the fact that, on the other hand, is about the fact that, well, obviously though, is about the fact I do somehow realize about the fact that when it comes to Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, X accounts or something like that, or Twitter accounts as far as I'm aware, that, apparently though, according to the forms of, A-Ban Stanley, at least as far as I do realize, they spotted a familiar object, which appears to be one of those another set of images based off of the sake of the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds before the game comes out. Obviously, though, is about the fact that there's an image where Rouge the Bat did somehow manage able to found one of the most well, let's just say, for instance, though, is about the fact that she did manage to got herself a very familiar necklace, which, yeah, I've noticed that before, but I can't really think about how could I describe it. Oh, wait a second. It turns out about the fact that Advent Stanley confirms that the necklace that Rouge stole from Soliana is indeed Princess Elise's necklace, which I was like, oh, that's a bit odd to able to actually have that continuity right there. Well, despite the fact that after the events of, you know, the fact that Sonic 06 is not canon to me though, just because of that particular Solaris and time travel shenanigans and stuff like that. Well, mind you, it's been about a year ago since I actually have last played Sonic 06 on the PlayStation 3, or specifically the Xbox 360 version, mind you, because of the forms of the achievements I need to get still, because some of them were actually very difficult, mainly because of due to glitches, and on top of that, no explanations what the goals of certain town missions plays out to be, and also the ridiculous amount of those godforsaken load times, you know. But anyways, we're going back onto Cookie Cutters again, and this time I'm going back onto the solo side, just in case, no matter what though, we can able to actually be a lot more quicker, because compared to the computer players right there, they are obviously pretty slow. So because of that though, I should miraculously try to win this. So, well, they only made about 36 cookies, so in fact, I'm pretty sure for the fact that the computer players for that point, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm sure it's going to be on easy or normal mode, I'm sure enough, because unlike something related to the forms of, you know, in Mario Party 3, and Mario Party 4, and 5, and 6 is solo mode, and I think that's about it basically, that you can able to actually adjust the difficulty, whilst compared to Mario Party 7 all the way up to onwards, obviously though is about the fact it does not contain a difficulty select. Well, it wasn't until in Mario Party the Top 100, and in addition to Super Mario Party when it comes to, well, Challenge Road. To put it simply though, is about the fact that there are two variations of those specific, well, modes, in terms of the forms of single-player modes, in between Minigame Island and, you know, Challenge Mode within both Super Mario Party and Mario Party the Top 100 respectively. So, yeah, you can get the idea for this point. So, anyway, let's get back into Prime Cut, and hopefully, though, we could be able to try to win this time, because I don't know about you, it's been a very long while since we've last experienced this minigame, because I'm pretty sure that we somehow managed to win in a tie within the forms of that particular Glorious Victory tie, I'm pretty sure, because, well, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that if you do manage to get the exact same points as each other, thankfully the game itself is very generous enough to able to give us some, benefit for the doubt when it comes to likely trying to win something or something like that. So, but anyway, and there's also another thing else I'd like to explain to you all as well, is that it may look like, for the fact that Limited Run has recently confirmed the actual release date for that particular compilation game that I was been on about since in the past few days, such as, well, Bubsy in the Perfect Collection. Obviously though, I'm pretty sure that the game is going to be launching until specifically the 9th of September, so that's going to be on, let's say on Tuesday, if I'm assuming so anyway, because, well, until specifically on Saturday the 13th of September, that one marks the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. Well, at least depending on what, well, it's hard for me to explain, because even then, though, I'm sure enough, though, is about the fact that we can still able to wait for a little while until we're able to actually hear more about the forms of that particular amazing milestone for that particular celebration of what's to come. So, but anyway, now, meanwhile, in terms of the forms of the pre-order, the physical edition, as far as I'm aware, you can't able to actually decide able to pre-order the game physical-wise until today, which, as a result, yeah, that seems very optimistic or something like that. So, anyway, but also, in addition to that, is about the fact that I, unfortunately though, got not one, but two bad news I would like to point out. Specifically, not only Sonic fans, but also with the forms of Dragon Ball fans, or technically Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Super to be exact. Well, on the other hand though, I was expecting to try to able to actually pre-order not only Sonic Racing Cross Worlds for Switch 1, but in addition to the PlayStation 4 version as for right now. But unfortunately though, on Amazon website, it is currently unavailable, which means I have to wait until specifically the next couple of days until it decides to able to get back in stocks again, which as a result is a bit annoying though, especially considering about the fact that maybe because the price tag might actually give us a lot of criticism, or even in some cases a bit of a backlash or something like that. I mean, I can't really judge on that front, because even then though, because after all, we've only just got about 1 month left until specifically Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is going to be on its way, and in addition to the animated short, which as a result, I'm a bit optimistic to see what the actual animated short actually plays out to be. Although, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that, in terms of the forms of other discussions I'd like to point out, in regards to the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I'm afraid to tell you, I don't think I can continue further with this whole conversation, because it might actually contain, some spoiler elements in the forms of that particular upcoming racing game. So I'm probably not going to mention about the forms of some, well, more tracks will be added, and potentially more characters will be added in its base game or something like that. So I might have to wait until when the actual game comes out, at least for a while. So because of that, assuming of course if Amazon websites decide able to fix that particular pre-order problem, which is of course the stocking problem, but regardless of such though, that's as far as I can try to able to explain about that. But it's also a bit of a bummer too, is about the fact that if I don't able to actually pre-order Sonic Racing Cross Worlds for both Switch 1 and PS4 version, this also means about the fact that there is this particular character, which appears to be Sonic the Werehog, that is going to be a pre-order bonus character, which if I don't make it in the nick of time, that means about the fact that I will unfortunately gonna miss out. Despite the fact that, well, for whatever stupid reason though, is that the voice clips was not been added to Sonic the Werehog, unfortunately, because, well, even then though, I'm almost assuming it's going to be quite interesting to able to actually hear the impression of the forms of Roger Craig Smith voice for the sake of the forms of Sonic the Werehog, but unfortunately though that's not the case, sadly. So, and unfortunately though, when it comes to the forms of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, they did manage to bring out some details for both not only Switch 1, but in addition to Switch 2 versions as well, such as the forms of the resolution and the frame rate results. So as a result, and its official comparison's sake, they are both pretty much a mixed results. So, for instance though, in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero on Switch 1 version, the resolution was on 720p when it's docked, which I honestly have no idea, it was not on 1080p to begin with. And then while on handheld mode, for whatever reason, similar to the forms of how it does it on the majority of the gamepad of the Wii U, the quality is dipped from 480p, and I was like, are you kidding me? Because that way, it makes the game look a bit worse than the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S. So no matter what though, is about the fact that, well, fortunately though, for the Switch 2 version as far as I'm aware, it may look a little bit better in comparison to Switch 1, aside from that stupid game key card release for its physical version, so that's besides the point. So, and it looks like we actually got every mini stars as we've got. Well, usually, relatively speaking, we technically onto the halfway point in terms of Mega Wigger's tree party, because we still need to get 13 more mini stars, and unfortunately though, it may look like something is about to happen, specifically right near to the beehives. So as a result, something tells me about the fact that there's going to be a next boss fight. So as a result, yeah, it's just only bees, which is nothing right to hum about, but there's this particular boss, which appears to be the Mega Sting-Bite, which, yeah, the Sting-Bite enemy was actually originated from Super Mario 3D Land. So, yeah, it's pretty, interesting though. Especially what's even more interesting about this is, though, that was before, when Mario Kart World did manage to able to bring Sting-Bite as a playable character. Well, I'm not entirely sure if he's unlockable or anything else like that, because mind you, it has been about 2 months ago since I actually have last played Mario Kart World, mainly because at this point in time, a lot of players out there always attempt to play not only Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition for its online experience, but in addition to the forms of, well, most notably, Donkey Kong Bonanza, because even then though, because you know, Donkey Kong Bonanza is without a doubt the best looking games on Nintendo Switch 2 so far, especially considering about the fact that, you know, it's been a very long time since we've last got a 3D Donkey Kong game and a brand new Donkey Kong game at the same time, not counting the forms of ports or anything else like that, to be more specifically. So yeah, you get the idea for that point. So anyway, and while the frame rate cap, unfortunately though, on the Switch 1 version, as far as I'm aware of, that it seems to believe, you know, it's a bit tricky to explain personally, because I haven't exactly thought this out until just now actually, that basically though, is about the fact that, well, it seems to be more specific than that, that when it comes to the forms of the Switch 2 version, the actual dramatic resolution was actually on actually kind of thinking about it, I keep thinking about something else. Yeah, the resolution on the Switch 2 version is going to be specifically 810p as opposed to 4K, and I was like, okay, this is getting very odd at this point. Although, relatively speaking though, is about the fact I'm sure it's still possible that for the fact that, well, fortunately though, is that with the Switch 2 version, that the output is going to be 810p for both docked and handheld mode, because I almost first thought that then again, it was supposed to be 1080p or 4K for the likes of on the big screen, well, technically for 1080p on handheld mode, so yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough though. Although, I will have to admit it though, I have no choice but to go for a Switch 2 version at the end of the day, because, relatively speaking though, is that the, well, the Switch 1 version is gonna be, quite rough in some areas, especially on handheld mode on Switch 1 version, so yeah, that'll be my final decision to able to actually have no choice but to go through, well, you know, the Switch 2 version in the end, so, because at this point it's about the fact that, well, for the most part though, again, it's a bit tricky to me for, trying to judge of what specific versions I might go for between the two. Well, that's besides the point, so, anyways though, and usually relatively speaking though, is about the fact I'm pretty sure it's also going to be locked at 30 frames per second, but unfortunately though, it can dip on the menus. Specifically, it could be roughly about 24 frames per second, so because of that though, yeah, it's going to be a massive claustrophobic problem, especially because considering about the fact that, well, for the most part though, I'm still very curious to check that game out on specifically the Switch 2 version, because that way I can finally get a chance to play the game. Well, as long as about the fact that if the menu decides to dip around all over the place, specifically on the Switch 2 version, so yeah, you can get the idea what I was expecting for the sake of time, so. But anyway though, and there's also reassuring about this too, speaking of which, in terms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, 2 new cards will be revealed, for specifically not only one for Rouge, but in addition to one for Zavok as well. For Rouge though, her default card was actually going to be Lip Spider, I think is what it says anyway. And when it comes to Zavok, he obviously got Road Dragoon. So, to make it a little bit of a something like an inspiration about the forms of his, you know, contraption, since in Sonic Lost World in Sky Road, as far as I'm aware. So, Anyway, oh, and meanwhile, in terms of the forms of Fortnite news, it seems to be more specifically is about the fact that Scooby-Doo cross Fortnite crossover is apparently going to be happening at some point in Halloween, which I guess that makes sense, especially considering about the fact that Scooby-Doo is almost like a horror kind of like cartoon series. Well, mind you though, I don't normally watch Scooby-Doo stuff anymore, just because, you know, I'm pretty much into, you know, not only Looney Tunes recently, but in addition to Tiny Toons, specifically Tiny Toon Adventures, and in addition to that, with classic Tom and Jerry cartoons, because, you know, slapstick and humor is actually way over the top hilarious, so yeah, you get the idea. I might be biased in terms of the forms of some cartoons I do honestly prefer, at least specifically when it was released very long time ago, and especially noticeable considering about the fact that, you know how the fact that, well, obviously though, I'm still very curious to check out Coyote vs. Acme live action movie until specifically next year, because obviously though, unlike you know, the other Looney Tunes film, which is the most recent one at the time, featuring, you know, Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, that obviously, though, that film was only appeared in the American theaters, which, hopefully, though, the next film should be on worldwide release. So because of that, though, if that time comes, though, I can definitely try to check it out, if I can, right after seeing the second Super Mario Bros. Movie, until new films have been 2026, among all others as well, except with, you know, Shrek 5, because obviously, though, that, you know, Shrek 5 has been pushed back until 2027, which is crazy beyond kind of think about it, because, you know, we've now got multitude of films to be releasing on 2027, which is crazy, so alright, back to Big Top Quiz, for presumably for the final time, perhaps? I mean, we obviously never know, because like I said before, is that once we're done with the forms of the majority of the Switch 1 content, then obviously though we can now able to actually focusing on the Switch 2 content afterwards, so, but then again though, like I said before, it can take a very long while to able to actually get to this point, so, but either way, wow. You three are something else, you know that, especially because, like I said before, that these computer players are apparently on easy or normal mode, so that's besides the point, so. And there's also another thing else I should probably explain to you all for something, is that, well, it seems to be more specific than that, is that until tomorrow, that the summer tour in Mario Kart Tour is going to be back up again, so yeah, I got nothing else to add, so it may look like we've only down to 3 tours left for able to actually presumably go around the loop cycle again. So no matter what though, it's about the fact that at this point that, as I said before, there is absolutely no way for me to try to go after the Gold Me Racing series, because it is virtually impossible. And not only that though, that particular Me suit to me though is just for bragging rights. So they do nothing to the progression, they do nothing for the sake of the forms of satisfaction. It's just incredibly luck based to try to able to get that particular Me Racing suit to begin with. So, but that's just me. So, and yeah, I did somehow claim my flawless victory again for specifically Big Top Quiz, so not too shabby. So, and it seems that we are basically almost done in terms of every aspect of the forms of Mecha Wigger's Tree Party board. So anyway, so yeah, I got nothing else to say. So even then, I'm generally surprised about the fact that I did somehow ignored Peach's Day Off Showdown minigame, because on the other hand though, I'm pretty sure it's definitely going to be possible that we can able to actually experience all 10 of the Showdown minigames in this mode, specifically if you do have your Joy-Con motion controls on. So because of that though, yeah, to be more specifically than that, is that I'm pretty sure each and every single stage does contain 2 Showdown minigames each. So, for example, though, that we've already come across into Mario's 3-peat and DK's Conga Line on the previous board, and now we somehow experience Peach's Day Off, and in addition to Yoshi's Mountain Race in Mecha Wigger's Tree Party. And meanwhile, in regards to the forms of the other 3 boards coming up, something tells me about the fact that we might able to come across into not only Luigi Rescue Operation, and in addition to Wario's Buzzer Beater in the next board coming up. And on the subject, when it comes to the next board after that, what appears to be, let's just say, Daisy's Field Day, and in addition to, let's just say, Waluigi's Pinball Arcade. And the final board, as far as I'm aware, that we're about to be stumbling across into Rosalina's Radical Race, and Junior's Drumelet, I think is what it says anyway. So, anyways, let's get back into this donut section again. So, oh gee, looks like Donkey Kong gets a good start right there, which I can definitely tell for the fact that it seems that I can still able to guarantee to win this, no problem. So, jeez, we always crash into each other, which is not too surprising, especially considering about the fact that always happens most of the time. So, anyway, so at the very least I've got more donuts this time, so at the very least I'm way up ahead. Compared to the rest of the other 3 players, that's for sure. And of course, we got crashed, so, or in some cases clashed to each other, so. But even then though, this particular section is already over, so now let's get into the setting up some fireworks and placing the correct gems to able to actually get into, you know, to see the fireworks display, so.
Final round.
But like I said before, there's nothing else I can really say about this, I guess, apart from a few addressed moments. For, you know, in regards to the forms of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero for both Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions, so I guess I get the feeling for the fact that the Switch 1 version is considered to be the worst version of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, just because of all that. Not only you can't play online, on Switch 1 version, but in addition to that, also for the fact that the resolution is a huge mess when it comes to likely on TV mode within 720p and 480p on handheld mode, which makes absolutely no sense. Well, I totally get it about the fact that they somehow use the a different Unreal Engine running, which as a result though, it's like, I don't know, Unreal Engine 5 perhaps? Well, I don't know about you, because it has been quite a while since we've last mentioned something related to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, right after the events of this, pretty mediocre partner showcase back in July in 2025. Well, we still really get some lot of hopes for, supposedly, the September Nintendo Direct, plus with the forms of, like I said before, the 40th anniversary celebration for the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, so. And I believe, kind of thinking about it though, is about the fact that, like I said before, there's nothing else I can really say, aside from the fact that, well, honestly, it's just about the fact that I, was expecting, actually, for the fact that I believe that recently, though, that Shantae Advanced Risky Revolution did somehow recently came out just recently on the eShop, but unfortunately, though, I couldn't seem to able to find it on my Switch 1, because no matter what, though, sometimes it feels a bit all over the place when it comes to like release time schedule sometimes, because on the other hand, I was really looking forward to able to actually just to try that game out, with that particular game has been originally was supposed to be releasing on the Game Boy Advance for quite a long time ago, but then, well, it's a long story, so either way, so let's see what tasks we've got left. So I believe we've only got 2 tasks left until we are essentially done with every aspect in Mega Wiggler's Tree Party. So I get the feeling, something tells me I need to hop on to that Mad Wiggler right there, which this time we're about to go to the opposite direction, and in that way we would be able to get our next mini star. So how about that? So alright, so let's see. Again, we're probably not going to focusing on the boss just yet, but I'll promise I will get around on doing that. And we'll talk to this penguin right there to ring the actual Wiggler bell and make this little better noise. And as a result, that way it will make a Wiggler to calm down now. So yeah, problem solved. So even then, so yeah, we've only got 3 mini stars left. So now we got ourselves a next decoration, which appears to be the a big tree. So anyways, let's see what's up next. I suppose there's only 1 or 2 tasks left, as far as I'm usually considered with, so... Anyway, let's just search around for a little bit, so just in case I could able to try to find the, one of those icons to show up at some point, so... Oh yeah, we need to find, oh, there we go. Oh no, that's not the right one. I keep thinking about something else for a moment. Ah, there we go. The purple toad we did somehow found, and as a result, we can able to actually deliver one of the items to Purple Toad, and we've only got 2 mini stars left, which I believe something tells me we're about to be going into the next mini game, which something to do with the forms of watermelon, which I'm pretty sure the mini game we're going to be playing through next is fruit produce. So yeah, I guess that probably explains it how. So in fact, I can see there's actually a fist bump icon. So yes, a mini game is about to come. So yeah, picking produce. I was so close, able to like think about the actual mini game or something like that, because I keep on thinking about something else. So yeah, I do apologize about the fact that my commentating is a bit iffy sometimes, because even then, hopefully though, by that time until tomorrow, then I should be able to actually discuss upon anything else related to the forms of Gamescom 2025, and hopefully we can also try to hear more about the forms of awesome or see more gameplay footage of Hollow Knight Silksong at long last. So because of that though, I'm not entirely sure what platform they're about to be going for in terms of the forms of Hollow Knight Silksong, but I'm really expecting to believe it might be on Xbox systems or something like that. I mean, it's a bit tricky to tell at this point, but either way. So thankfully we did somehow win the minigame, and as a result we gathered every single mini stars in Mega Wigger's Tree Party. So yeah, pretty simple and easy, until specifically the next board coming up, because as far as I'm aware, that one of the mini games is going to be pretty frustrating to complete, not just by the forms of experiencing the mini game itself, but in addition to trying to obtain every single mini stars on the process. So anyways, let's meet back with the yellow toad right there to try taking care of the forms of the next boss. Now, since that we somehow managed to technically recruit not only 1, but 4 partners as far as I'm aware, which as a result, before you're able to dive into the minigame, we have no choice but to go for only 3 partners at a time. So, for instance though, we can able to actually go for a shuffle order, or decide the actual team. So because of that, I suppose we'll go for Yoshi, Toadette, and Monty Mole for this fight, because straight to the point that it is nice that Toadette can now join with us in this fight. So here we go, on to the next boss battle minigame, Mega Sting by Stompers. Attack the Mega Sting by with ground pounds. Climb on top the platform, hop onto the enemy, and then unleash your attacks. You can't do multiple ground pounds in rapid succession. So, in fact, kind of think about it, this minigame does remind me of the Volza boss battle minigame from Mario Party 10, which appears to be Mega Goomba's Ladder Leap, except now we can't use ladders anymore, so instead we have to do some sort of like a 2D platforming style of boss fights. So because of that though, and like I said before, we can't do multitude of ground pounds in a rapid succession, we only have to do it 1 ground pound at a time. So because of that though, for the most part this battle is pretty self-explanatory, nothing right to hum about, although sometimes though he just likes able to fly around within either left or right directions, so that's one thing to put in for the sake of defaults this boss fight anyway. So yeah, for the most part though, it's about the fact that again this minigame reminds me of Mega Goomba's Ladder Leap from Mario Party 10, but only now for the fact that, you know, we can jump from platform to platform rather than just climbing through ladders and stuff like that. What's even more cool is that Monty Mole, even though he is now a playable character in this game, that he's no longer a boss fight. So because of that, something tells me about the fact that it's on the next board coming up, that we might come across into a, well, again, we'll have to wait on that particular discussion until tomorrow either way. So anyway, let's just go ahead and trying to focus on this for a while, because once it starts to go onto the halfway point, he now decides to add it in even more sting buys, able to actually just to like jump onto them to get a big leap, for able to try to keep on attacking him. So either way though, for the most part, this boss is not that much of a challenge, despite the computer players always attempt to gain your way sometimes. But apart from those aside things though, he's basically toasted. So,
Finish.
And there we go. Mega Wigger's Tree Party in Party Planet Trek has been concluded. So, and it seems that we're actually getting very, very close to the halfway point already of Party Planet Trek. So because of that though, I'm generally surprised about that, especially considering about the fact that for the most part, yeah, you get the idea for this point. So anyway, so of course we somehow recovered the mini stars. So yeah, like I said, the Mega Wigger's Tree Party board has been officially been accomplished, or cleared, I should say. So yeah, nicely done. And of course, we got ourselves yet another decoration right there. So, yeah, nothing else I can really tell for this point. So, yeah. So, of course, we're able to actually let the other characters go back onto their specific spots of the entire board. So, yeah. But either way, 2 boards have been done, and we've only got 3 boards to go. Which meaning about the fact I'm pretty sure the next board we're about to be going into, which appears to be Rainbow Galleria, and after that it will be Roland Raceway, and finally of course King Bowser's Keep. So, and of course we got another decoration for the fountain right there. So, yeah, and as you can tell that I somehow select keep on looking around for a while, and as a result that is about the fact that we can pretty much expect that, of course, if you're missing out on something, then obviously though you can able to continue walking around, and there's that little boss battle signpost, which you can able to actually have a rematch against the defaults the boss fight at any point. But you can also set up a different team if you wanted to. Well, yeah, that's as far as I can try to describe about defaults that particular boss rematch if you decide to go for that point. So, but anyways though, so that pretty much does it for this point, and if you want to go on to the next board, well, you can obviously select the second option, and as a result, then that way you can able to actually access to the world map. So as you can tell, that yeah, we've gathered every single mini stars in both boards basically, so we got a grand total of 120 mini stars so far, out of the maximum of 300. So yeah, I guess it's that basically. So yeah, for the most part though, suffice to say for this point guys, let's get on to Rainbow Galleria, and suffice to say, we should probably ending off this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario Party Jamboree on Party Planet Trek mode. Is that we're going on to the 3rd board in the mode, which appears to be Rainbow Galleria. So, Rainbow Galleria is going to be quite interesting, especially noticeable that one minigame I was been on about so many times, but wish me luck. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.